Collateral ligament. Okay, so this is the tibial collateral ligament, which is connecting the medial condyle of the tibia to this place. If you are not interested, I can stop here. You can read it yourself.
No, but the phone is stopped taking video.
Okay. Don't worry about the video. Try to learn here something, whatever you can get, and when you go back and read, at that time you can catch more things. Okay. So shall we continue?
Yes.
Okay. So whenever, if you are tired, you can just tell me and I can stop there. Okay. Then remaining things you can read yourself. Okay, no problem. Okay. One is the tibial collateral ligament. There is a ligament which is running between the medial condyle of the tibia and the tibia. Medial condyle of the femur and the tibia. Okay. So this is called as the tibial collateral ligament. So it has two parts, the superficial and deep, and as I said, it runs between the medial condyle of the femur and the tibia. Second, there is fibular collateral ligament on the other side. Okay, so it is on the lateral side, so it is also called as lateral ligament. Okay, so this is connecting the lateral condyle of the femur with the apex of the fibula here. You can see here is the apex of the fibula. So this is the fibular collateral ligament. So there are two collateral ligaments which are very important. One is the tibial as well as the fibular collateral ligament. Along with that, on the posterior side, there is something called as the oblique popliteal ligament. Okay, so on the behind, it is a continuation. It is said to be continuation of the semimembranosus muscle. So this is on the popliteal side, popliteal surface, and it one of the forms the floor of the popliteal surface. This is called as the oblique popliteal ligament, and all the structures will be passing superficial to this ligament. Okay. Then there is something called as the arcuate popliteal ligament. There is a Y-shaped ligament which is again on the lateral side, which will be a Y-shaped, and this also gives the stability to the joint. Then there is a very important ligament. These are called as the cruciate ligaments. So these have very important role in the stability of the joint. One is called as the anterior cruciate ligament. The second is called as posterior. If you see this picture, here you can see this is the anterior cruciate ligament, this is the posterior. Why it is called as cruciate? Because they cross. So that's why they are called as cruciate. Okay. So they will be crossing. And the importance of these ligaments are they are intracapsular. They are inside the capsule. If you remember, I had told one muscle which is intracapsular. In case of here, shoulder. Here. In case of the knee, intracapsular. Articularis genuine. Yeah, that one intracapsular.
No,
Popliteus. Yeah, popliteus muscle. So that is intracapsular in case of knee joint. Along with that, even these two ligaments, anterior and posterior ligaments, are always outside the capsule. But here, these two ligaments are inside the capsule. So these are intracapsular. But they are extra synovial. What do you mean by this? Intracapsular, they are within the capsule of the joint. Extra, yeah. If you see that this is the synovial membrane. So it covers the whole of the knee joint, but not these ligaments. So if you see here, so it is coming like this and going back like this. So these two ligaments are left outside. They are not inside the synovial membrane. They are outside. Okay. They are within the capsule but outside. So it is called an intracapsular but extra synovial. Okay. So there are two. One is the anterior and posterior. Why they are called anterior posterior? Depending on the attachment on the tibia, not on the femur. Okay. So the one which is attached anterior to the tibia, that is anterior, and which one is posterior, that is called a posterior. Because in case of when it comes up in the femur, it will the anterior will be attached posteriorly, posterior will be attached anteriorly. Okay, because they cross, so the anterior becomes posterior, posterior becomes anterior. So when it goes to the femur, it will be reverse. Okay, so we should remember anterior is called as anterior depending on the attachment on the tibia, not on the femur. Pardon?
Due to instability of the knee joint, instability caused by anterior and
Yeah, there is also very important role in the stability. They all are important, but these have very important role. How? I will tell you about this. Okay, if you see here, this is the anterior cruciate ligament. You can see here, is attached to the anterior part of the tibia, and it's going behind and it gets inserted to the lateral side of the femur. Okay, so the function is it binds both these bones together. Okay, it prevents hyperextension. So whenever the knee joint try to extend hyper, so hyper is more than what is required. Okay, so at that time it prevents, it pulls, the ligament become taut and they stop. Okay. The third is it prevents forward displacement of the tibial condyles. So whenever the femur is stable and if the tibia wants to move forward, if it wants to slip because of the shallowness, so it will be prevented by the ligament. So this has a very important role in the prevention of the slipping. If not, the tibia is totally flat, so it can easily slip, right? So this is prevented by this ligament, anterior cruciate ligament. And in extension, it forms the vertical axis. Whenever you are, I had told about the locking and unlocking of the joint. So at the last 30 degrees, it will lock. So for locking, the axis is formed by these ligaments. Okay, when it locks, this is the axis through which the locking will take place. Okay, so it forms the axis for the locking and unlocking of the knee joint. Okay. Coming to the posterior, if you can see here, the pictures will be showing. So this anterior cruciate ligament prevents anterior displacement of the tibia. So the posterior cruciate ligament prevents the posterior displacement of the tibia. Okay. So it binds both the bones, then it prevents backward displacement of the tibial condyle. And both cruciate ligaments prevent side-to-side movement displacement also. So it can slip on the side also. So that is also prevented. Anterior and posterior displacement is prevented, side-to-side displacement. So it has a very important role in the stability of the knee joint. So these are called as anterior and posterior cruciate ligaments. So whenever you write, there are so many, but don't forget these cruciate ligaments. Okay. So then we have the menisci. As you have seen already, there are two menisci, medial as well as the lateral menisci. So these are the fibrocartilaginous structures which are within the joint, and they divide this cavity joint into two parts, an upper part as well as the lower part. So there is the meniscofemoral space here above and meniscotibial space below. Okay, between these two it is divided into two cavities above the menisci as well as the below menisci. Okay, so these are the two medial and lateral menisci which also help in the stability. One is the functions of this is it makes the articular surface more congruent. Okay, then they increase the cavity of the tibial condyle. As I said, it increases the cavity. Okay, yeah.
What do you mean?
Congruent means better space for the articulation of these two joints. Okay. So then it also increases the cavity. Then it acts as the shock absorber. Whenever you are jumping, so it acts as a shock absorber. Huh?
The same as intervertebral disc.
Intervertebral, yeah, similar to the intervertebral disc. Yeah, it acts as a shock absorber. Then it also has this potential space for flushing of the synovial fluid. So the synovial fluid, if it doesn't flow easily, then there might be problems. So this space which is created by the menisci help in movement of the synovial fluid throughout. Okay, and it provides the nutrition to the articular cartilages. Okay, the hyaline cartilage is there. Then this menisci are lateral part are vascular and the inner part is supplied by the nutrition from the synovial fluid, and they have the capacity to regrow. Okay, so whenever if they are damaged also they can regrow. Okay, then the most important is the additional nerve supply which they have. So they are very sensitive when you are jumping or doing something. So they have not only they are shock absorber, but they have increased sensitivity. So if you do over stretching exercise, then at that time it gives a shock. So you stop from doing very excessive movements. Okay, so they have an additional nerve supply which help in stability again of the joint. Okay, so these are some of the functions of the menisci. Yeah.
You said it has the ability to regrow.
Yeah.
What about other ligaments?
Ligament they don't regrow; they become fibrous. Once they are torn, then they become fibrous.
Why this one has?
This is not exactly a ligament. This is a cartilaginous joint. Okay, cartilage, fibrocartilaginous structure. So it has some ability, not complete again. So it has a limited amount of regrowth. Okay, not complete. And there is something called as the meniscofemoral ligament, which connects the menisci with that of the femur. So in the anterior there is something called a ligament of Humphrey, and posteriorly we have this. You can see here, this is called as the ligament of the Whisper. So they have shown you here. So this is from the posterior, where you can see the ligament of Whisper. On the anterior side, we have something called as the ligament of Humphrey. This will keep the menisci in their positions. They keep the position of the menisci. Then there is something called as the coronary ligament. I will not go into detail. Then we have something called as the transverse ligament. If you can see here, between the two menisci, there is a connection between the two. This is called as the transverse ligament. Okay. This also helps in some amount in the stability of the knee joint. Okay. Now this is about the ligaments. Okay. Then coming to the bursas around the knee joint. Again, the bursas are very important around the knee joint. So there are around 13 bursas around the knee joint. 4 are anterior, 4 are lateral, and 5 are medial. Okay. So the most important will be the 4 in the anterior, these 4, because they are clinically very important. Because when you go to the clinical side, again you see a lot of problems with these the bursa. One is the subcutaneous prepatellar bursa. There is a bursa here in front of the knee joint. This is called as a prepatellar. In front of the patella, in front of the patella there is a prepatellar bursa. This is very important, especially in the housemaid knees. Especially the housemaid, they will be cleaning the floor by kneeling on the knee. Okay, when they are cleaning, at that time they start rubbing on the floor. So that leads to infection of the bursa in the knee. Okay, so this is called as the housemaid knee. Okay, this is very common, especially in case of the housemaids. Okay, second is something called as the subcutaneous infrapatellar bursa. There is a bursa here. This is called as the subcutaneous infrapatellar. This is the prepatellar. In front of patella, this is below patella. That's why it is called as infrapatellar. Okay, this is also gets infected, especially in case of the clergymen, the popes and the Christian fathers. So whenever they pray, they kneel on the knee. They don't do sujood like us. They will be just kneeling. That's all. Okay. So especially those kind of people, because they kneel for a long time, so that leads to infection of this bursa. This is called as the clergyman's bursa. That's why it's called as clergyman. Clergymen are the popes. Okay. So that's why they are called as the clergyman's knee. Okay. The third is the deep infrapatellar bursa. If you can see here, this is the subcutaneous. There is a deep. This is called as the deep infrapatellar bursa. Okay. This rarely gets infected, but there is also a bursa which is around the knee joint. Then there is something called a suprapatellar bursa. There is a bursa here. This is called as suprapatellar. This is the continuation of the knee cavity. The joint cavity continues above the suprapatellar bursa. This patellar bursa is very important, especially in case of if there is any inflammation of the knee and severe pain in the knee. Usually this bursa gets infected, and there might be enlargement as well as pain above the patella. Okay, and there will be swelling, everything. Okay, so this is called as the suprapatellar bursa, which communicates with the knee joint. So this bursa is very important. So these are the 4 bursas which are very important clinically. Anteriorly they are present. So laterally we have 4 and the medial are 5. These are not very important clinically. The main important will be the anterior. Okay. Coming to the anastomosis around the knee joint, this also we had discussed when we discussed the patella, the popliteal fossa. We had discussed about the 5 genicular arteries. Okay, from the popliteal artery it will be giving the superior lateral as well as inferior lateral, and the medial, superior medial as well as inferior medial genicular arteries, and the middle genicular artery. These are the 5 genicular arteries which will be given. Along with that, there will be a descending genicular branch from the femoral artery. If you see here, this is the femoral artery, it is a descending genicular artery. Okay. Then we have the descending branch of the lateral circumflex artery. There is an artery which also supplies. Yeah. Genicular means, genu means knee. I had told you last time also. Genicular means, so whatever is supplying the knee, so that is articular genu. Yeah, what is it?
muscle.
Articular genuine is the muscle. Why it is called so? Because it is
The knee.
again,
Very small muscle.
yeah, small muscle, because it is going to the knee joint. So that's why it is called as articular genu. Similarly, all these are genicular arteries, and there are something called as genu valgum, genu varus. I will talk about that. That is also related to the. Whenever it is genu, then you should know it is the knee. Okay. So these are the genicular branches from the femoral artery, then the lateral circumflex femoral artery, then there are recurrent arteries here, recurrent arteries from the tibial artery, then the circumflex fibular branches. Okay, all these are the branches which supply the knee joint. Okay, anastomosis around the knee joint. I had discussed this partly in case of the popliteal fossa. If you remember, yeah. So these are all the arteries which supply the knee joint. Why they are important? Why they supply as a complex anastomosis? I had told you. Okay, because of the movements and other things. Coming to the nerve supply. So all the muscles which cross the knee joint and the nerve supply to those muscles will also supply the knee joint. Okay. So we had discussed the femoral nerve and its three branches which are coming from the three vasci will be giving the branches to the knee joint. Along with that, the tibial nerve also supplies the genetic nerve. Then the sciatic nerve and its branches, that is the common peroneal as well as the obturator nerve, all will be giving the branches. Okay, so all these nerves, femoral nerve and the sciatic branches of tibial as well as the common peroneal nerve as well as the obturator nerve. So they are the muscle nerves of the three compartments. Femoral nerve for the anterior compartment, obturator nerve for the adductor compartment, and the sciatic nerve, that is the tibial and common peroneal for the posterior compartment. All will be supplying the knee joint. Okay. Coming to the movements, as you know already, there are two movements, flexion and extension, and the second very important related only to this joint is the locking and unlocking of the joint. Okay, so that movements are there, so you should know the movements as well as the muscles. Mainly the principal muscles, accessory muscles are additional muscles, but you should know the principal muscles. For flexion, extension, you know all these muscles are called a flexor, extensor because they are extending the either the knee or the flexing the knee. So the muscles of these compartments, if you know, then you know these functions are being joined. So the flexion will be done by the posterior compartment muscles. So the extension will be done by the anterior compartment of the hand. And the medial lateral rotation by the completus and these two muscles. Okay. Coming to the applied aspects, okay, again I just named them. One is the osteoarthritis, infection, inflammation of the joint. Then there might be syphilitic arthritis, tuberculosis, injury to the menisci, then injury to the cruciate ligaments. Whenever there are excessive movement, then the cruciate ligaments are damaged. Okay, injuries to the collateral ligaments. Whenever there is side-to-side movement, then there might be damage to the collateral ligament. Then bursitis, I discussed about this bursas, infection of the bursas. Okay. Then collection of the fluid in the knee joint. Whenever there is infection or inflammation, then it leads to collection of the. Then there is something called as genu valgum as well as the varus. As I said, whenever there is bending of the knee outside or inside, then it is called as the genu valgum and the varus. Okay. Then there might be last is the fracture of the
Fulgum towards inside. Inside.
Yeah. Okay. Next is the ankle ligament, ankle joint. Okay. So this is the ankle joint between the tibia as well as the talus. So this is the joint between the tibia and the talus. Okay. So it's a wedge-shaped talus and the concave lower part of the tibia as well as the medial malleolus on the tibial part and the lateral malleolus, that is the continuation of the fibula. All this will be forming a joint which is called as the ankle joint. Okay. So this joint is very strong joint and the stability is mainly maintained by the interlocking of the articular surface. You see here how they are locked together. So that shape of the bones themselves will give the stability. Along with that, there are strong collateral ligaments on either side which gives stability as well as the crossing of the muscles and the ligaments. The ligaments are, one is the fibrous capsule, then there is deltoid ligament and the lateral ligament. All these will be giving stability to this joint. Okay. Then along with that, the blood supply is mainly by the anterior and tibial, posterior tibial as well as the peroneal arteries. And the nerve supply is by the deep as well as the peroneal and the tibial nerves. So this is the nerve supply to this ligament. And the movements are dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. Okay, plantar flexion like this, dorsiflexion on the other side. So the plantar flexion is done by the muscles of the posterior compartment of leg, and the dorsiflexion is done by the anterior muscles of the leg. If you know the muscles, then you can name them. Okay, so these are the muscles named. Okay. Coming to the last joint and the last slide, this is the subtalar joint. Okay, so if you here see, this is the ankle joint, and below that, below the talus, this is called a subtalar joint. So you should know the difference between the ankle joint and the subtalar joint. Subtalar joint, why it is important? Because in case of the ankle joint, there are only two movements: dorsiflexion and the plantar flexion. So the other movement, what are the other movements here? Huh? No pronation, supination here. This inversion and eversion. Okay, so this inversion and eversion is at this joint. This is the subtalar joint. So remember, the two different movements are two different joints. Dorsiflexion and plantar flexion at the ankle joint, and the inversion and eversion at the subtalar joint. So there is a difference you should remember. Okay, so this joint is important because the inversion and eversion is taking place here. And this, again, this joint is maintained by its ligament, the fibrous capsule. Then there is lateral medial talocalcaneal ligaments are there here. Then intraosseous talocalcaneal ligament and the cervical ligaments. All these ligaments are important in this stability of Which one? Plain synovial. This is one of the type of the synovial joint. I showed you the classification. If you go there, the topmost in the synovial joint is the plain. Okay, so go to the slide once again, and you remember. Also. Huh? Yeah, I showed you. Classification, yeah. So here, if you see here, okay, plain I have given at the last. Okay, so I have reversed all the things because I wanted to show the ball and socket. Okay, so here is the plain synovial joint. Okay, so this is about the knee joint, the ankle joint, as well as the hip joint, as well as the subtalar joint. Okay.